In today's episode, if you see us talking rojak, then you know there's a guest. But yeah, today's episode is a little bit heavy. It's about R.I.P. Rest in peace. Kamu sedang mendengar?
Jom Sembang Malaysia.
Okay, Ju. I think it's because we listened to the song and then the song is about grieving. So I thought it was a very interesting topic that people don't talk about very often.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps we would like to explore about it in this episode. But before we do, just want to let you all know, we might be campur-campur lagi lah. So you know lah, ada guest nanti yang campur-campur basah. So yeah.
Jadi tadi you kata rest in peace, so I assume you are talking about death.
Well, I think generally the big idea of grief, people always think, or rather not the big idea. When we talk about grief, is immediately death or loss of a person.
Okay.
Okay, and then, but now I think we have grief like loss of ambition, loss of something else. But yeah,
Okay.
let's just dive into the most common one first,
Okay.
death, and then other thing.
Okay.
So yeah, before I come to the studio, I was thinking myself, talk about grief, Gina, talk about what? I think the only person that I've really felt that left my life that I probably grieve is my grandma lah. Okay, but I think you probably have more story because as far as I know, you lost your dad when you were quite young.
Yes. That would have been my first major grieving thing episode. My dad passed away when I was end of my first year of A-level. So that would have been 18, end of 18
Around
years
there.
old. Yeah, just before turning 19. And interestingly, we talked about being numb the other time. It wasn't really numb, but it wasn't a terribly sad, distraught feeling for me.
I think death comes in two ways.
Yeah.
One is you see it coming. See it coming is like maybe you have
Yes.
an illness or something like
Correct.
that. The one that you don't see it coming is like, oh, you were out of the house and that's it, gone.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah.
Okay, so
Maybe
with
rewind.
my father, he was fighting cancer. Okay, and it was a few years. So I suppose I was kind of getting prepared for it. And I suppose because of faith as well, we kind of know that, okay, I mean, our approach to death is a lot different because of where we come from in our faith, right? So it's
Okay.
like, I know that, hey, we'll meet again the other time, he's in a better place. So that for me helped a lot lah. So even during the funeral, my dad picked his own songs and there was joy, there was joy in a funeral, which I know sounds weird, but it wasn't a put on thing. It was a real joyous occasion, although we know that it's sad, we won't see him again, that kind of thing.
It's like a genuine joy where he doesn't have to suffer anymore. and
Yes,
stuff like that.
a celebration of his life, of his legacy. But at that time also realizing that, we're not going to have those moments anymore with him on this side of earth lah.
Okay.
On the side of heaven. Oh, yeah. So I remember the time that I felt it the most was when I needed to make life decisions, right? So being in college, just finishing A-levels, and then
Oh, it's like the beginning of all your major decisions. Actually.
yes. And you see, my dad was the one that I always go to consult about these major things like, oh, should I do this? Like, all these major dilemmas in your
Okay.
life, right? He would be the one that I would talk to. Mom is like, what shall we eat? It's not so existential. I mean, okay, eating is existential lah. But all those philosophical one, those things, it would be my dad. And I remember that time like, wow, what they wanted to study for university or what the career path would be. I really, really felt that huge gap. Like, yeah, God, why you take my father at this point of time when I really, really would use some help, talking to
Correct.
him about this. And then I felt that huge gap. I think there was a bit of regret as well because my father passed away the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, literally Boxing Day. He decided, okay, it's time to go. And I was very, very busy leading up to Christmas because college was having a play and everything. So at that point, I felt, if only I had spent a bit more time at home. But I think that one, somehow, yes, I missed my dad, but I coped pretty okay. Right now, I'm going through another season of grief. And that's because my godma passed away about 2 years ago. Just when we were coming out of the COVID thing.
Yeah, about 2 years
That
ago.
one, right? Obviously, I'm not as close to my godma as to my dad. But I almost feel like sometimes that one hit me harder because like you said just now, it came unexpectedly. I know she wasn't well, but during COVID, so just now I mentioned regret, right?
Correct.
During COVID, it's like I didn't keep in touch as much as I should have, I feel lah. And then also because of this physical distancing, you know, last time it's like, okay, she will call, let's go makan and all that. And then during COVID, I was a little bit more cautious. So there were a few times where I like,
Social distancing.
Yeah, and then Chinese New Year, she said, hey, you can come and makan with us. But no, being me stickler to the rules, it's like, but it's not real family. So,
It's not 5 km.
okay lah, Bangsa was probably within that radius. But to me, it was like, it's like kind of family, but not family. And yeah, so there was that element of regret. And then now there's a lot of things that is in my life. Everything reminds me of her. It's like very recent lah, that's why. So I think I am still in that grieving mode, maybe. It's not okay lah, it's not paralyzing my life, but a lot of things I'll be go like, oh, if only she was still here, or oh, this is so reminds me of her, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to process whether I felt that way about my grandma. Yeah. So what happened was grandma was also kena stroke.
Right.
So she was in the hospital for quite some time, and then I think she was in the hospital for a while, and then she came back home and then got another stroke, and then she was in the hospital. I'm not sure if I mentioned in the previous episodes that she kena stroke until she cannot eat.
Right.
So we need to feed her milk through a tube that goes through her stomach. Like straight to her stomach lah. Okay, so I remember I was one of the two main caretakers. There was my uncle and me. And we spent a lot of time in the hospital taking care of her.
Yeah.
And the day that she passed away was quite eventful as I remember it.
Okay.
Because the night before, what I do is I stay in the hospital overnight. Okay, I will read or whatever while she sleep, and then feed her or whatever lah. And that night, she was very reluctant to let my hand go.
Okay.
She like hold until like all wet already. Like you know, then it reached a point where I can't even scratch myself or go toilet because it was that bad. And I remember the doctor saying that tomorrow morning she can discharge because she was getting better. And so I was like, just one last night, why are you gripping my hand so high? Like, can you just like let all of us rest, and then stuff like that. So I remember that very clearly because it was a struggle that night to just can you give me a break.
Right.
Okay. So when morning came and everything, and then my uncle came take over the shift and told me to go home and rest and prepare the bed because they will send her back the ambulance and everything. So I remember telling her like, okay, I'll see you later and stuff like that. And then I did tell my uncle some very strange thing lah. She keep holding on like die, not letting go of my hand like that. You know, like come on, 10 hours of hand holding is quite maximum. So I went home and I took my nap, and then I woke up maybe like 2 like that, ready to prepare to wait for her to come home through the ambulance. And that's where I got a call that she took a bad turn.
Right.
Then I rushed back to the hospital lah. Okay, by then she was already, maybe I won't say they put the oxygen rating. I'm not sure she was aware of what's going on, but everyone was supposed to gather for like a final goodbye, that kind of thing. So I remember going in and felt really sorry for the first time. Like I believe that people know subconsciously that they're going off. So maybe she was just cleaning my hands like, hey, it's my last night here. Can you just like, don't let go, or something like that. Yeah. So
but you didn't know that, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't know because we were told that she's supposed to come home lah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and not like go home to heaven, the kind of home lah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the last time I saw her lah. In a very rushed state of like everybody saying goodbyes kind of thing. But looking back at the grief, I think it didn't hit like a door slam on your face. Because I didn't live with her, you see.
Yeah.
So on a normal basis, is like I just visit her once a week, or if I happen to be in the neighborhood, that I would just swing by, the kind of thing. So to say like really missing the presence, not quite, because she's not daily in my presence.
Okay.
But it's only certain things that like family gatherings we really miss her.
Okay.
Because she's like there and stuff like that. But looking back, there was a lot of things that I done, the values I have in life, mostly came from her lah, I think.
Because you grew up, the
She took
early
care of
part
me.
of your life
Correct.
was
At
almost
least the
100% with her?
first 12 years lah.
95%?
Correct. Yeah. So I think the grief part for me wasn't that like palm on your face. It was more of the, oh, this is so her, this is like where I got my values from, that kind of thing. Then like that lah. I'm not a very strong grieving person, surprisingly.
Are you a sentimental person?
I'm a sentimental person. I can remember people's birthday, first time I met them, anniversaries and all that.
Yes.
But when it comes to death, it's like a bit cruel to say that people fade out of my life quite easily. Unless they've been there daily lah. And grandma wasn't with me daily lah. So yeah. But different kind of grief lah. I believe. So maybe, who knows? I can only say that, oh, I feel okay about it. But people around me will go like, shit, not feeling okay with it. You know?
Yeah, sometimes we don't realize, right, that we're not functioning that okay.
So there's this song that our friend has, well, I can't say it recently. It's been released for a while.
Yeah.
That took a while for me to understand what the lyrics is. And then when you watch the music video, it's like, oh, it's about losing someone.
Yes.
Which is why we came to talk about this topic today. So yeah, maybe we shall listen to a short snippet of the song.
Sentiasa baik-baik saja, kasih tolong jaga dirimu, ku kan menunggu saat kita akan bertemu lagi. Sayang, niat yang berbeda, tunggulah diriku kasih. Bintang pun bersinar menemani bulan.
So you've just heard a snippet of the song Bintang Menemani Bulan by Ardley Nicholas.
Which is also available in Dusun language.
It is,
So
yes.
interesting.
Ardley was on our show before and we thought we'll invite him back lah sebab dia kata lagu ni ada kena-mengena dengan cerita yang lepas juga. If you haven't checked it out, the podcast on depression. But yes, welcome Ardley. It's good to have you back.
Hello, nice to be back again.
It's not like we're doing a podcast on every song you come out. Just kebetulan, okay? It's unlike our previous podcast, Song and Story. We actually do one song for each episode.
Yeah.
This one is lain sikit. So yeah, good to have you back.
Yeah.
Tell us more about your song.
Okay, Bintang Menemani Bulan. Dia sebenarnya lagu ini saya rilis selepas saya menang AIM. Yeah, last year. Then sebelum tu saya ada bincang dengan kawan saya yang arrange lagu-lagu saya sebelum ini. But then masa tu dia busy.
Okay.
Dia tidak boleh arrange. Then apa maksud dia, sebab takkan masa-masa kita sudah menang AIM dan kita senyap. We need to have something. Then tidak tahu macam mana saya berjumpa dengan seorang arranger dari Korea.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So nama dia Ham Jilso. Jilso dia biasa arrange untuk lagu-lagu OST di sana lah, Korea.
I see.
Dan
Okay.
juga company K-pop lah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dia tertarik dengan lagu saya Son Sodo. Lagu dengan Elika Paujin sebab dia ada vibe Korean juga.
Right.
Yeah. Then masa tu dia DM saya, boleh kita mau kalau kita berkolaborasi satu lagu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then dari sana saya tulis lagu dan jadilah Bintang Menemani Bulan.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, untuk mereka yang tidak beberapa clued in lah, ini AIM tu apa benda. AIM stands for Anugerah Industri Music. The tagline is kemuncak segala-galanya. So it's basically kind of like the awards show yang peers rate each other lah kan punya record. So Ardley won vocal terbaik dalam
Lelaki.
best performance in a song, Lelaki, for the song that we introduced the last round,
last one.
lagu Pilu.
Yeah.
So after that you wrote this song.
Yeah,
So apa yang menginspirasikan lagu ni?
Okay, before this memang orang tahu sebelum podcast ni saya ada rilis lagu-lagu berkaitan dengan kesihatan mental kan. So bersamaku, Nafas dan Pilu Then semasa 5 tahun 5 tahun pula sudah saya dalam industri.
Banyak hebat. 5 tahun banyak lagu sudah kan?
Ya, tapi masih kecil lagi lah berbanding dengan Juwita. Dia sudah senior.
I belum menang best performance. Masih dalam bucket list saya.
Tapi masih
Okay, back to topic.
Okay, masa saya jadi advocate untuk mental health awareness, I always release song for mental health lah, awareness. Dan banyak orang DM saya di IG. Dan semua orang tahu bila kita banyak DM tu dia akan masuk di request punya
correct.
section.
Ada request or something.
Yes.
So banyak yang saya tidak dapat reply, banyak yang saya tidak dapat jawab kan, sebab dalam message tu
panjang
banyak,
kah?
ada juga pendek tapi dia ramai. Ramai dan kita tidak kenal kan, tapi thank you for listening to my song, thank you for dengar.
Jawab pun pendek-pendek lah. Okay, faham.
Then banyak orang yang meluah through my account. Jadi saya punya account ni jadi bahan medium meluah.
Counselling helps.
Because they know you can relate to them lah.
Dari lagu tu dia orang relate dan dorang bagi tahu dari lagu ni saya dapat kekuatan dan thank you for writing such song. Tapi dalam masa yang sama saya ingin memberitahu kepada semua yang DM saya bukan tidak baca, saya baca setiap kamu punya inbox tu, tapi saya tidak ada sempat untuk balas satu-satu kan. Mungkin ada yang saya terbalas, itu pun pendek-pendek dan bukan sombong. Tapi saya sebenarnya sangat memerhati setiap apa yang kamu tulis lah. Dan that is why saya tulis Bintang Menemani Bulan sebagai respon untuk message kamu. Ya.
Oh, so romantic suddenly.
Yeah.
The title so romantic.
Okay, wait. We were saying lagu Bintang Menemani Bulan is about somebody who passed away. So why is the response connected to this?
Apa kaitan dengan grieving?
Grieving and mental health. Oh, okay. So, betul. Dia seorang yang sudah tiada bersama kita. Jadi, kenapa? Sebab mostly yang DM saya, of course, mereka semua berterima kasih sebab lagu-lagu kesedaran kesihatan mental. But then, dorang ada share kenapa suddenly dorang ada di struggle, the depression kan, depressive. Mostly yang saya nampak adalah disebabkan kehilangan. Jadi salah satu yang saya masih ingat DM tu, dia ada bagi tahu yang thank you for writing this song. I've lost my mother for 12 years now.
Right.
But I know maybe orang lain sudah move on, but I still cannot move on. I tell you because after 12 years saya tidak dapat move on, I suddenly develop this depression begitu.
So dia punya trigger is kehilangan lah.
Yes, kehilangan.
Right.
So itulah orang bagi tahu kita tidak boleh judge orang, kita tidak boleh, sebab setiap orang berbeza kan.
Betul.
Ada yang mungkin kita kehilangan seseorang, mungkin pass away, then for 2 months kita boleh move on sudah with work. But dia bagi tahu dia few years dia tidak boleh kerja sudah.
Right.
Mula-mula dia grief, then every day dia menangis. Suddenly dia tidak boleh menangis sebab sudah menangis terlalu banyak. Then suddenly macam saya, dia numb.
Right.
Bila numb, dia tidak boleh kerja, dia berhenti kerja, dia kena pecat sebab dia tidak boleh buat kerja. Then now dia rasa useless, dia tinggal dengan bapa dia sajalah. Then the other thing is yang ada orang beritahu saya kehilangan, I just lost my boyfriend from car accident, along with all the 5 years memories with him. Saya hilang, and now saya tidak boleh terima, actually saya tidak boleh move on lah daripada ini. Then I now taking antidepressant, but thank you for making this music, dia cakap begitulah. Then suddenly last year uncle saya pun meninggal juga. Uncle dan auntie saya jarang di US, Georgia. Dan auntie saya orang Sabahan. Dia ada family untuk check her out. Dan kalau culture orang putih, dia bagi tahu saya lah, auntie saya bagi tahu all her macam children kan sudah berkeluarga dan dorang susah untuk cari masa berjumpa.
Right.
Yeah. So now after her husband passed away from cancer, dia sangat tidak dapat terima juga dan dia sangat lonely. Dan dia bagi tahu saya, of course everyone will say yang till death
Do us part.
Do us part.
Yeah.
Yes, till death do us part. But tiada orang bagi tahu siapa yang duluan, siapa yang dahulu pergi. Dan itu menyakitkan jika kau yang ditinggalkan dahulu.
Right.
Gitu.
Betul.
Orang tidak tahu yang sebenarnya death is painful. Not for, actually painful for the one yang kena kasih tinggal. Gitu.
Not so much the one who left.
Because you left already lah. Habis
You tak ada
kan?
rasa you're up there, you know.
Ya, betul. Bagi kita masih di dunia, kita masih merasa sakit. Begitu.
Betul.
So, saya buat lagu Bintang Menemani Bulan untuk semualah yang ditinggalkan.
I see.
Yeah.
What do you personally feel about your uncle's passing away?
So, saya actually sedih sebab tidak dapat jumpa dia punya funeral di US. But then yang lebih sedih adalah adik-beradik bapak saya lah, dari sebelah bapak saya, aunty saya. Sebab dorang lebih rapat. Every time dia turun Sabah dan dorang selalu banyak masa bersama lah.
Right.
Di dalam social media pun dia masih aktif. And I still remember masa kami sama-sama buat group family untuk doa gitu. Saya masih ingat uncle saya yang dari dari US tu, dia buat sermon. Sangat-sangat bagus lah sermon dia. So itu yang sangat saya ingat sampai sekarang. Bila ingat dia balik kan, ingat kehilangan dia. Yeah.
So sebenarnya tadi kami ada bercakap lah, kehilangan paling utama biasanya orang yang sudah meninggal atau mati. Tapi ada juga kehilangan, bukan cakap jenis baru, tapi lebih kerap berlaku sekarang, adalah seperti kehilangan orang yang tak mati.
Yeah.
Which happens very often lah. Yang mungkin kamu ada hubungan cinta 10 tahun, kemudian orang itu berpisah. It's almost as severe atau sakit seperti kehilangan orang yang dah mati lah.
A loss of a relationship kan.
Correct.
Kehilangan
Or
hubungan.
even friendship.
Yeah,
you know,
friendship.
So stuff like that. Have you gone through anything similar?
Ya, banyak kali. Sebab
mungkin boleh pilih satu lah. Nanti kongsi semua, kita menangis sama-sama sini.
Ya. Sebab kita kan, kalau saya, I know having this mental health problem macam depression ni, kami ni kena label as difficult person to deal with. Ya, saya boleh cakap begitu. Maybe orang yang tidak berapa close tidak faham kan, sebab if kita bersama-sama terlalu lama, terlalu rapat kan, baru all the things yang kau punya struggles kan baru keluar begitu.
Right.
Yeah. So ini saya rasa benda biasa untuk saya, tapi bukan biasa. Dia sebenarnya menyakitkan bila ditinggalkan begitu. Not only macam family, friends also. Macam banyak friends yang tinggalkan kita kan. Jadi
maybe can be a bit more specific. Pilih satu friend yang pernah tinggalkan kamu.
Okay. Saya ada kawan yang sangat supportive lah. Dia supportive untuk mendengar dan bagi
listening ear.
Ya, listening ear begitu. And never judge. Dia sangat bagus dan selalu bersama-sama. But suddenly macam sesuatu berlaku kan, ada benda yang berlaku yang mungkin dia sudah ada macam priority begitu kan. Dia ada, yes. So dia tidak dapat cope with the world.
Right.
Because dunia dia bukan satu arah saja. Dia banyak perasa, banyak flavor. Sometimes you need to take yang benda-benda keras. You need to handle yang happy things. You need to deal with your boss. You need to deal with you need to deal with toxic people kan. So it's very overwhelming, I think. Then dia need to cut off.
I see.
Yeah. So bila kita sudah kehilangan tu, rasa sangat hilang lah gitu. Yeah.
But sometimes I saw happens like let's say your best friend dah kahwin kan, right? That relationship dia akan berubahkan kita punya relationship dengan kawan tu. It's like obviously dia punya time kurang
priority,
lah. Priorities.
Ya, salah satu begitulah. Ya, betul. Itu salah satu yang membuatkan kita mungkin hilang kontak.
Suddenly I'm thinking about this friend that had that kind of lost her after she got married. And in fact, we were very close, like on a daily basis, kind of best friend, texting and everything. But when she got to know a guy, she even kept it from me. Like, okay, better don't tell first before it's serious. But once you got serious, like, hi, I'm getting married, like, dari mana jatuh dia? Gitu. But yeah, that was the beginning of something that her everyday body is no longer me. And I think that's how some friendships are affected when people get married, But having said that, it's not all friendships are like that lah. If you marry, I married, then we be still good friends talking about husbands and children lah,
But it's like almost they masuk into a different planet and then we were still in the same planet.
Correct.
Susah sikit dia punya nak communicate.
Wavelength.
In Marvel, they call multiverse.
Yes.
They're going to another universe.
But that reminded me of another friend of mine kan yang, okay, so unlike yours both, it wasn't like hari-hari kita berkomunikasi, but it was like, sometimes we would go travel together or we meet at conferences together. And then one day, yang memang sudden punya cut off, we were talking about life, we were catching up one day kat overseas, and then came up something yang tentang ideology. And then she asked me, so what is your stand on this thing lah? So I thought we were like very close friends, memang dah lama dah. And so I said, for me, this is what I believe lah, And then I didn't even know that there was something happening. Tapi the next moment we met, dia ada macam satu dinding salji, ice. And you could just feel it. Like kan, I sit here with you, I can feel you're here, right? Tiba-tiba that day dia masuk, dia duduk sana, just like same distance, but I just felt like like Elsa dah above Frozen dah. That was sangat menyakitkan. I was like, wow, what just happened lah? And yeah,
I think the conversation today I want to bring is, what are some of the ways or some of the things you do to cope with grief? Like, for example, when I lost that friend, because we were very rapat, what I did was, for a long time, I couldn't go to our regular places.
Right.
The same mamak, because it's like meja yang sama saya selalu duduk dengan kamu, or the few places that we always go is our regular hangout and stuff like that. I remember the first 2 years I cannot go back to the same place because I felt like the place is no longer the same. Or every time I go, it's like, why she not here, man? Like, so it's so different. So, but I remember after the 3rd, 4th years, I mean, it's not like we break friendship lah. It's just from 100% to maybe 2%.
Okay.
But over the years, we start to like keep in touch, but acquaintance kind of thing. And there was one point we reached this hotel where we were having some camp or something like that. And that was the hotel I remember having a lot of memories for her. And for her to be there again, like, walao, what's going on, that kind of thing, that kind of friends. So I took a step by creating new memories.
Yes.
So like, then it overrides the past memory, I suppose. So then that became one of the ways that I cope with grief. Not just with her, with like anyone. So let's say like my grandma or something, is like, I need to rewrite certain memories so that I don't dwell on just that moment lah. That's one way I cope with it. So maybe you guys have other ways to cope with stuff like that.
Yeah. So, okay. So for mine, I mentioned Bangsa just now. Every time I drive through Bangsa or any association yang I've had with my godma, I think it's cherishing the memory lah. More of celebrating it. Like for my dad, eventually I wrote a song, and so now things that remind me of him, it's more of a,
it's all in the song.
It's but it's also a celebrating. It warms my heart lah. Jadi rasa macam okay, wow. We still have that connection in the way that we work. Like, I can see that he has a passion for this, or she had a passion for this, and I'm also doing this. I can feel that connection. In terms of yang kawan tu yang tiba-tiba, I remember I came back on the plane. I was like crying. Listen to, I can't remember, 6U, one Samsung.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like crying. And then after that, I said, okay, the next time I go into her city where she lives, I must make a point to see lah if we can at least meet up so that the last memory wasn't that cut off.
Changing
But-
the last memory.
Yeah, even though it's like, okay, we're not close friends anymore, but at least
It's not
there
a
was
dark spot.
a closure lah.
Correct.
Yeah, so now I don't feel like so broken when I think about that
I
person.
also think
lah.
it's not so much of overwriting the memories, it's writing new memories.
Yeah,
So that you don't keep clinging on to the last one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
What about
you
you?
still you still see each other, Ju?
I saw her that one time.
Oh,
It happened. We didn't talk about what happened.
okay.
But you said I have coffee.
We said I had sandwich. Happened to be her birthday. I didn't know some more. But for me, it was like, okay lah. At least it wasn't ice lah. Dia melebur sikit. So I don't know when's the next time I might see her. I don't know. But I'm feeling okay lah. Okay lah tu.
Yeah, actually berbeza dengan Gina, I try to override the memories by coming to the same place, kan?
So you delete.
No, I avoid to came the same place as yeah, but suddenly there's a day yang you need to be there, kan?
Yes.
Yeah, so it might trigger you. So for me, just acknowledge your grief.
Yes.
You just cry. If you want to cry, just cry. You cry
Yes.
ugly. So don't hold it lah. If you hold it, it is not healthy. Yeah. That's why I asked Ju if you still meet each other, kan? Meet her. Then you get to meet once in a while. You meet lah.
It's
Kan?
just that one time.
Yeah, one time. For me, like literally cut. Yang macam cut. I don't want to see you. They said I don't want to see your face.
Okay.
I don't want to think that you exist,
Oh, wow.
exist.
But it's a bit hard now with social media.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
last time it's like, I can grieve and then you want cut ties or whatever, I grieve that relationship.
Yeah.
Now it's like I grieve
appear,
you.
right?
Yeah. I mean, even if you block me, your friend,
Correct.
you can muncul. It makes
Yeah.
grieving so hard.
Yeah, that is why they said want to cut off the relationship, kan? But then they still follow me in the Instagram.
How confusing is
Yeah.
that?
So I was so confusing. It's like
Yeah.
they still wanna let you see how they macam mana dia hidup.
But you can remove if you want.
Then I block all of them. That's also jahat. So because I try to accept. I try to just
I think being selfish when you're grieving is also a step of
Yeah, it's
managing.
taking care of your health.
It's like, aku jaga diri dulu sebab
Yeah.
aku tengah sedih.
betul.
Yeah, I remember one time we were talking about first dates and I broke up with this guy. I didn't break up, he just disappeared.
He
And
ghosted you.
further, he ghosted me. For the longest time, I would be like, hey, is he okay? Then finally, I'm like, what the heck? He ghosted me, so delete. Like, yeah.
It's good for your mental health.
Yeah, why am I bothering?
Yes.
Yeah.
So many work. I need to unfollow or no, block more than 100 people because all the 100 people
Are
related
connected to the person.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Losing a friendship now is hard work.
Yes.
difficult.
hard work.
But what's interesting, I think, zaman sekarang, there are actually conferences that talk about grief. This is the first time. So masa COVID, I remember this lady called me and she said, hey, Juwita, I really like your songs and would you come and be a part of my conference about grief? I'm like, huh? Got such thing one, but it was about all these practitioners lah, people who had gone through grief or people who are counselors or people who are managing or caregivers. They had this conference and then after that, she passed away. It's like, oh wow. Then her sister organized another conference about grief, which I think is interesting lah, because when you go, you realize that, okay, I'm not the only one.
But it's very good to acknowledge that grieving process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
that's
our
the thing.
friend who lost a wife,
Yeah.
she went to a grief support group.
Yeah.
Di Semana,
Yes.
everybody can relate to each other, the loss and everything.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, the support group went through like normally it's like a course like a 10 weeks, but he stayed in the group for like a year or two. Then they just support each other once in a while when you text her and say today was her birthday and nobody judge you.
Yes,
Correct.
because it is very therapeutic, the session.
Correct.
Yeah.
When you have someone who actually don't judge you lah and just hear you out.
Yeah. And it's almost like we are going through our different journeys together.
I also think that people around you might not know how to deal with you.
Yeah.
For example, like, am I supposed to mention the person or not mention the
Yes.
person? Like, if I don't mention the person, then you might think, why you all forget her already?
Yes.
But if I mention the person, then you cry, then like, walao ye, what am I supposed to do?
Mm.
You know, like, so the grieving person, it's quite hard. The supporters and the person itself, it can be a very challenging part.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end this episode on a very interesting or the cheerful notes lah, okay?
All right.
So grandma passed away. Grandma was quite someone in the family, like the matriarch and stuff like that. So after she passed away, we actually have a photo of her that we put at the table near the house, like near the dining table, the small table is there. And then I like how my family always does this when we have gathering. Hi grandma, time to eat. Like, you know, in a very joking way.
Yeah.
But that's how we always included her in the family. Because the family gathered mostly for her. So when she was gone, I think the first concern in our mind is like, oh, are we going to stop gathering? And then all of us make a conscious effort to gather.
Yeah.
To, you know, just remember lah, that families are important. So every single time she's there. And sometimes if one of us forget or something, somehow lah, along the way, Chinese New Year, grandma, where's my ang pao? Like, you know? So it became a very different way of grieving. Of accepting that loss, but at the same time celebrating the person's life.
And acknowledging that, hey, you know what? The memory is still with us. She's still in our hearts lah. Kan?
Correct. So yeah, if you're going through grief right at the moment, maybe you would like to explore some grief support group. You can just search it online. There's actually quite a few groups organizing stuff like that. And yeah, just know that you're not alone. Don't be too harsh on the people around you. They really don't know what to do, stepping on eggshells. So it's important to also tell them how to support you in your grief journey. So yeah, until the next journey. Take care.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by two Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Cerita Suwito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.